54 degrees.
Every student wants their high school sports apparel, and there's only one place to get it, the Winner's Circle. They carry all the local school letter jackets, whether you're a Tiger, Wildcat, or Bear. While you're there, get your jacket personalized with embroidery, stitching, and have your letters and patches sewn on too. They also carry trophies, plaques, and awards, and service with a smile. It's all at the Winner's Circle, 1201 10th Street in Alamogordo.
If you and your family are looking for a new home, you don't have to look far for a home mortgage. As a community bank, we not only have great rates, we offer you friendly financial service right here in the neighborhood. There are a lot of options in real estate lending. We're here to see that you get a loan you can live with. Talk to us about your home mortgage. We're an equal housing lender. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
This is the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Going from the Tularosa Basin and beyond, this is your local connection to the world of sports. From high school to college and to the pros, we cover the latest news and the biggest stories. Don't forget, this is your show. Change the topic anytime. Call us at 437-1230. The Roundup starts right now. ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Hello and welcome into the Roundup here on a Thursday. Hope everybody's having a wonderful one. Just a day away from Tiger football getting their season started. We're going to chat about that a little later in the show, talk high school football heading into the new season, and have some thoughts heading into the new year. Of course, Tigers trying to erase an 0-10 season from last year heading into this year. So, you know, a little bit on the line, I think, that first game. But I think just to get off to a good start this season would mean a lot for that group. So we'll spend some time with that a little bit later on. We've got boys soccer tonight. Alamogordo Volleyball opens up their season tonight. Tularosa Volleyball begins their season this evening, as does Mescalero Volleyball. So we've got a fair amount of area action. Mescalero's at home. Tule's at home. No, Tule's on the road, I'm sorry. And Alamogordo's at home tonight. So we'll spend a little bit more time on that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into Alamogordo cross country. Had a chance to talk with Coach Gigler and some of the runners yesterday, coming off back-to-back district championships, and also a fourth-place finish on the girls' side, sixth-place finish at state on the boys' side. It was a good year last year again, and they've, I think, easily been and consistently been one of the most competitive teams at AHS, similar to track and field. You know, and you get, you know, some crossover there, but not necessarily. There's some, but I think cross country in their own right has just done some really solid things over the last few years, and certainly probably deserve more attention and more credit than they get. So we try to do that when we can, and we got a good interview for you guys here. The Alamogordo cross country from yesterday. They avoided that big storm the day yesterday, and spent some time with us. So Alamogordo cross country here on the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Joining us now, Alamogordo cross country, as they're getting ready to start their season next week. They'll be where are you guys, Coach?
We're at Fort Stanton up in Capitan. Their invite on September 1st.
Okay, very good. And that was Coach Justin Gigler, his team coming off another solid season, a couple of district championships. How are you?
We're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
And introduce the group that you brought with you today.
I brought my seniors today. I have Miss Moriah Martin. I have Mr. Alex Cavolo, Miss Cheyenne Drake, and Mr. Paxton Rodwick.
Everybody doing good today?
Yes. Thank you.
Just to let everybody know, we've been having fun. These kids are always a lot of fun. I enjoy cross country. And clearly you guys enjoy cross country as well. So very much. Coach, before we get started with this year, looking back at last year, district championships, solid finishes up at state. Pretty happy with how things went last year for you?
Yeah. Overall, I thought we had some really good performances last year. Overall, I believe believe the girls team strung together about 5 straight wins there, and we had our streak kind of snapped at Ruidoso, but we started again at district, so it was all right. And the boys too, we came off of a home meet win, which it doesn't happen often, and that's just kind of the quality of the work that they've put in. Boys finished 6th overall, and girls were 4th, missing out on another trophy by 1 point.
Yeah.
So can't complain.
Yeah, it was definitely a close run up there at state this year, and we were chatting a little bit. When practice first got started, good numbers again for you. You had a lot of kids coming out for the entire program to get involved with cross country again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at the numbers we've had. I've had several kids just in the last couple of days come out and talk to me about joining cross country. And if they all come out, that puts our number at 50. So it's a pretty large number to work with. Lots of underclassmen. I actually only have 6 seniors and maybe 1 junior coming on, so that means that's a lot of underclassmen. So it's as long as they develop and put the work in, they'll be around and we'll be competitive for many years to come.
Yeah, and I would say with cross country, it's the experience more than anything else. Being an upperclassman that helps them out, right?
Absolutely. Just understanding what's necessary to be a really strong competitive runner. Just the mileage and the pace and everything else, all the work that they need to put in. So and also the experience factor. I mean, these guys are race savvy. We've got 2-3 years under our belts for some of them. Paxton's been racing forever, since before he came to Alamogordo. So his race experience, is a little bit ahead of everybody else's. But just that varsity experience and week in and week out, it's we'll be competitive. Yeah. So,
Moriah, how many years is it for you on the cross country team?
3 years.
3? Okay. She had to look over to coach real quick. From your sophomore year going into this year, how can you compare it in terms of maybe how much how much more prepared you are going into this season?
I know a lot more right now. When I just started, I had never really run long distance before, and now I really enjoy it, and I've formed a lot of great friendships here.
What is it? I mean, in terms of the experience, is just knowing how to pace yourself, knowing your limits, all those kind of things. I mean, for somebody that maybe hasn't run cross country, how would you explain it that you're better now than maybe you were a couple years ago?
For sure, how to pace and how in the race to keep pushing yourself even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah. Alex, how about you? I mean, how many years for you and this team?
Well, this will be my 4th year.
4th year, so you've been running since a freshman.
Yes.
When you think back to your freshman year and how far you've come to your senior year, I mean, does it even compute in your mind the difference between then and now?
Honestly, it's pretty hard just because I think being a distance runner, it's really important that you get more experience because you just slowly get faster and faster the more you go distance running. You build up your good aerobic base. So from my freshman year to my senior year, my base had just skyrocketed. So I look back, I'm like, man, you sure are good.
And I would have to, I'm sure that just having the race experience as well, that's another thing that sure helps. Just being out there with other people, practice is one thing, but having all those race experiences, that'll help you a lot going into the season.
Definitely.
All right. Well, Sheyenne Drake, who I'm gonna have to go back and count up the amount of interviews she's done between cross country, between soccer, and what else have we had? Track and field. Yeah.
Probably about 72.
I was gonna say it's been a few, but it just goes to show how much different stuff you've been involved in with the school. But it seems like you just have a ton of fun cross country, track and field. You're just so much into these sports. Talk about that a little bit. What makes you enjoy cross country so much?
It's just it's competitive, and also it's just a fun environment to be in. Everyone is super supportive, and if you work hard, it'll show. So to compete in a sport like cross country, it takes a lot of determination and a lot of mental work. Improve you as a person in general, and just it helps with your perseverance. And I honestly think it makes me more competitive when it comes to my other sports such as track and with soccer.
And how many years have you run both? Have you done both soccer and cross country?
I've done soccer since 8th grade, and then I've done track since 8th grade, and I've done cross country since my freshman year.
All that going on at the same time, does it make it go by faster? I mean, when you think that this is your senior year that you're getting ready to go into?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a change going into college, because I'm going to be more focused on one sport, or if I do cross country and track, it will be the two. But it's going to be a big change because I'm just used to constantly in the go mode. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, of course, you were out in Hobbs yesterday and back on cross country, and I'm sure out to soccer practice today as well.
Yes,
so
later today.
There you go. Paxton, this is how many years for cross country for you? So you haven't been here at Alamo for your entire high school run, right?
Well, for high school, yeah.
Yeah, high school, yeah, okay.
I actually started really young in Albuquerque. I started in 3rd grade doing club track and cross country.
Huh.
But when I moved here, 7th grade year, I started training with Gigler, and then my 8th grade year was my first year competing. So this will be my 5th season with him.
And it's, you know, when you think about the fact that it's your senior year, it's your last chance. What are your thoughts going into last season of high school cross country?
It's a mix of excited and sad because it's been such a long road. But then, like Cavolo was saying, you know, going back and looking at how far I've come, it's exciting to see what I'm going to do with this last season. And like Coach was saying, we have a very, very young team. So not only can I get excited that all these guys are really running fast this year, but then that we're going to have, you know, really good luck and really good ability coming into these next few seasons as well.
I'll tell you what, and that's I think we've seen that a lot. There's been a nice mix. I mean, I don't know, Coach. I mean, have you really had a really senior-heavy team? I mean, maybe 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, right? About 2 or 3 years ago on the boys' side, it was really senior-heavy. It was like 6 or 7 runners, and so that was kind of had hit the reset button last year actually, with all the new runners. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty good spacing throughout, and we've been fortunate with that because when you have seniors like these people here that come in and their leadership with the young and mentoring the younger kids, it's really nice to have that.
We'll start with the girls team. Who's your 5 or 6 that we're going to be needing to watch out for this year?
I don't know. Actually, it's
maybe 7 or 8 on that.
Yeah, you know, I think we're pretty deep. You know, it's just kind of have to wait to see how it develops. You know, of course we have Sheyenne and Moriah here, and Gabby's back, of course, and Kyla Fugate graduated, but I think Janae Shackley's kind of come in and fill that role, and we have Hannah Caceres back, and Mackenzie Jordan's back, and you know, another shared runner with Vanessa Nahar is back. So it's like we're got all these shared runners with soccer, but between all that, we have some really young 8th graders like Ellery Battle has been killing it after school, and so yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. We have about 4 or 5 shared soccer players, so the meets where we don't have these ladies here, there'll be some younger kids with some opportunities to kind of step up and take those roles, and so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So, and right there, that first meet up in Capitan is a good place to kind of try the younger kids out, and you know, because we won't have the benefits of our soccer players, so just we'll know at week 1 how things kind of shape up for the season. So
I know the boys team's going to have a little bit of a different look from this year. You had a couple kids move out of town.
Yes, yeah. We lost Josiah and Eric. Unfortunately, you don't have it that often, and you lose 2 good freshman runners to moving. And so when they moved out, we knew what we were going to have to start with Alex and Paxton and Celso Garcia and Michael Gagnon. We knew that that's our core of 4, and it's just trying to string together all those other runners. You know, we've got about 5-6 guys that are going to battle to kind of step up, and some of those names with like Victor Grimaldo and Gabe Cotter and Titan Mose and Gavin Bond. I know I'm missing somebody important. Chance Cass, Nick Harshey. So yeah, there's about 6-7 boys that are just gonna have to step up and fill that role, and as long as we stay healthy, we can do some good things towards the end of the season.
All right, Paxton, what's your number this year that you think you're starting at? What you want to try to get to by the end of the season?
So starting, I feel a lot stronger than last year. So I'd love to go in the 18s for this first meet, but by the end of the year, I want to be as close to 16 flat as possible.
And that'll give you a chance, obviously, to compete up at state and
yeah,
give you that opportunity. Cheyenne, what numbers have you started to think about the numbers you want to hit or where you're at right now?
Yeah, similar to Paxton, I feel stronger than I did last year. I'm thinking I'm gonna be like in the 20s, maybe high 19s, but I definitely want to be low 19s, maybe high 18s by the end of the season. We'll see how it goes, though.
All right, Alex, how about you, buddy?
Well, I think I'd like to start in the 18s. And then as the year progresses, I would like to go down into the 16s towards the end of the year.
All right. Mariah, what are you shooting for this year?
Probably start at 21 or 22, and hopefully by the end of the season be in the 20s or 19s.
Yeah, that'd be a good goal. Coach, I mean, when you hear that, I mean, those are the kind of goals you want to hear from your athletes. And, I mean, when you think of the numbers, by the end of the season, is that where you want most of the girls, most of the guys for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, like, these guys, when they put a goal out, you know, they're gonna go out there and try to achieve it. You know, they're very realistic, the goals, and I think they're well within their ability as well. And if we can hit that, you know, I think on the boys' side with Michael and Celso, I think they'll be there too. they're the kind of runners that, I mean, that group of 4 runners on the boys' side is going to be very, very, very solid. And so I feel really good about those numbers, and I believe everybody will be there. And if we get that 5th guy along, I know when it comes to districts, we'll be there. We'll have the chance to win it. Even if you guys are solid and our 5th runner's not quite there, looking at the numbers that other schools are putting back, you know, we have a 5th guy problem, and all the other schools have like a 3rd, 4th, 5th guy problem, or a 4th, 5th guy problem. And so that's looking pretty good. So with the boys, again, we're looking definitely to compete for that district championship. I know Centennial will be there, Oneonta will be there. Mayfield was surprisingly strong towards the end of the season last year. They actually were the 3rd qualifier out of that district that sent Hobbs and Carlsbad in the 1 and 2 spot. So they actually beat out Oneonta and Centennial, which was kind of surprising from that standpoint. But I know when we went up to state, we competed really well, and our times match up very much and favorably for us compared to the times they ran at state. And I know these guys have put the work in all summer long, and so we're looking really sharp.
Well, there's not, I mean, you guys are moving up, you know, classification in terms of the type of schools, but, you know, when you look at the best teams in what was 5A last year and the best teams in 6A, when you talk about, you know, the academies of the world and some of the other schools, there's really not a huge gap there between the top teams in 5A and 6A.
No, I obviously with Academy and Los Alamos and Kirtland Central on the boys' side, solid all the way around. But I mean, when we switch to the new district and the new state level, there might be one more school in there in contention. But I pride myself on the work we have done. Is last year in Southern New Mexico, it was Hobbs, and then it was us. You know, we were beating Carlsbad, we were beating Lovington, we were beating the new district schools, we were beating the old district schools. So on the boys' side, we were competitive already in that side. And even on the girls' side too, it was us and Centennial and Oneonta sometimes. I mean, that's how it was in Southern New Mexico. And so when we went up the state again, when you do the merge and you look at everybody together, we were the strongest team from Southern New Mexico. And so looking forward to the new district for the girls, the same thing, you know. Some of the best runners, we don't have to run against Jolene Guerrero anymore. So it really opens it up. But there are other teams in our new district. You know, Catherine Taylor's still there. You know, and Oneonta has 3 strong girls. So, you know, at the district level, we're going to compete for that district title. And I have no doubt in my mind, same thing on the boys' side, that those last couple runners on the other schools, they're not there, and we're 5 deep on the girls' side easy. And so as long as we stay healthy, we keep driven and stay competing, again, that we should be able to repeat on both sides as district champions.
Yeah. Moriah, how much do you worry about in terms of, you know, the opponents, the other schools that you're going against in a meet? Is that even in your mind, or are you more focused on what you're doing?
You're definitely competing against people of your own team and people from other teams to rank in your own school as well. It definitely matters who's around you, how much you push yourself. So it's hard to not be influenced and run your own race for me.
Yeah, so you're aware of, you know, that's that girl from Mayfield, it's that girl from Oneonta out there on the course. Okay. Alex, how about you? I mean, when you're running out there, I mean, are you aware of who you're running against or where you should be maybe in the pack in the field?
Oh, yes. I feel like when it comes to that, I definitely feel the same way, just because when I'm out there running, it's not just about the time, even though that matters a lot. For me, it's like I don't want to just be good for Alamogordo. I don't want to just be good for the district, but I'm running against these guys who I know are going to do good in state, and if I can beat them now, then how much more will that say later down in the season?
Yeah. Sheyenne, I mean, compared to, I mean, you're going head-to-head against a school in soccer, you know, does it have the same kind of feeling for you when you're out there in cross-country running?
I do think it does, because, like, let's say state, for example, last year we really were trying to catch Los Alamos Academy girls. So let's say there's a Los Alamos girl in front of me, I'm going to be aware that I need to get her if we need to get an extra point. And Gigler makes you fully aware of that on the course. So, yeah, of course it's a good thing to PR and set your own times and make sure you run a good time on your own. But you know, you are competing against other schools, and it is a team sport, so in the long run, you have to be aware of the other teams as well as you are aware of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, Paxton, with as many runners are out there, I mean, she talked about the state meet, and that's, by the way, that was one of the coolest experiences I'd had. I've never been to a state cross-country meet. That's such an incredible experience. But, you know, with all those runners around you, it's still easy to kind of keep an idea of, you know, who that is, who you're competing against out there on the course.
Well, personally, when I run, I don't think of the people, because everybody's got a different colored jersey on. And so what I look for, if I'm not our first guy, I'm looking for where our next guy is, you know, in front of me, and how many guys, how many different colors are between us. And I'm trying to do the math in my head while I'm running. Well, if we're going to score really well, I need to pass yellow, green, and white. And so that's the kind of thought process that's going through my head.
I think for people that don't run in the races like you guys do, I mean, they're probably not going to realize that. I know I certainly wouldn't have thought of it that way. And I want to go back just real quickly, Coach. The state meets, that is such an interesting experience. I mean, with all the camps that are set up.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things. I feel like everybody who's a sports fan in New Mexico or wherever, they got to experience it at least once, right?
I think so. I mean, what people don't realize is the state cross country meet is the #1 single A attended event that NMAA puts on. Period, hands down. Where else are you gonna? At every classification, there's the word I'm looking for. You're getting 12 to 15 schools in 5 classifications. And then you're getting all the individual qualifiers, and they have their camp. And so you're looking at, roughly 70, 80 schools right there, and they're all competing in their classification within 6 hours of each other. And it's pretty intense. Every half an hour, that gun is sounding, and it's a new race. And so I think it's a really cool experience, and we're starting to see teams from around our region that are really good, like Cloudcroft trophied last year, and Ruidoso's always been competitive, and Capitan's bubbling up, and so it's like we don't always get to see all these other schools that we normally don't have that opportunity to see, but up there it's kind of, you can have that camaraderie between the coaches and the athletes, that like those familiar faces, and so it's like before, you're competing against people in your own classification, and so it's like you can kind of befriend those people and cheer for those schools in our region on, because we're not running against them, and so it's kind of an interesting thing. But it's huge. It's really, really awesome experience for spectators and obviously people's families and other schools, and to check out. It's really cool. I've always experienced, my experience up there has always been pretty good, except for 2 years ago when we actually trophied. I was sick as a dog. And
it was a great experience as a coach that you got the trophy.
Yeah, but I was really happy, but unfortunately I don't remember a whole lot about that experience, because I was vomiting like all night before. And like when they're warming up on their own, and I was out there on the course, and when I wasn't, I was just laying down in the camp, just covered up.
Yeah, he had his own blanket.
Yeah, so. it was
well,
bad.
Because nobody wanted to touch that blanket.
Oh, pretty much. So I mean, it was really bad. That should have been one of my favorite experiences because we trophied. But looking back on that, I don't remember a whole lot about it. But I do remember last year's experience and being up there and having a lot of people, because boys soccer was up there. The teachers and coaches and people are like, oh hey, cross country's over there too. Let's go check them out. That really haven't experienced that. And so having the same conversation with like the Rhodeses or the Crabtrees, because they're up there, or Coach Perry, same type of thing where it's like, they've never been to one, and they're like, wow, this is a really neat experience. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Paxton, how many state meets have you gone to now?
I've only been to 2 so far.
You've been to 2? Well, 2's only 2.
2 out of my 5 years of competing.
Yeah. So. Your favorite part about the chance to get to state?
It's hard to pick. The course is fun. It's hard and it's fun. And honestly, I think it is the ability that there's the 1A through 6A different races. So when it's not yours, you can still watch and cheer for other people, rather than just going and everybody's your enemy. You can have some friends out there.
Yeah, there you go. Sheyenne, you've been there all 3 years, right?
All 4.
All 4, okay. Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite part of the state experience?
I think honestly, like you said, it's just a really cool experience. There's a lot of people there. Take a normal cross country meet, you might not find a lot of bystanders there, to be honest. But at the state meet, there's like a straightaway there, and running down it, like you kind of like lose track of what's going on. You're so out of your head, because it's just such a cool experience. It's kind of like almost like at every state meet. It's a whole nother experience. And you should be proud that you're there. So I think that's the big part of it is you made it.
Yeah, Alex, how many chances do you have to compete at state?
2 years.
2 years. And what sticks out in your mind? Obviously, hoping to get back there again this year, but what sticks out in your mind from your previous
and
experience?
Just what they said, especially just how many bystanders there are, that just like blows my mind. Like, wow, that many people came out here to watch me run a 5K. So yeah, but for me, it's like out of a team of this year, it's going to be 50 people. To be able to get to go to a state cross-country meet, a select few only get to go, and it's like, this is my team. And we worked 4 months, and every day we were out there running, and this is what we've been working for.
Yeah.
So,
Moriah,
satisfaction.
How many years for you up at the state meet?
I've been there too, and in a normal cross-country meet, there's not very many people, just like at the beginning and the end of the race. But in the state meet, throughout the entire race, there's people cheering you on, and that's really encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, expectations, you guys expect, I'm sure, compete for district again and have an opportunity at state. Is that how you're looking at the year?
Absolutely. I think we've, I started this program, or didn't start the program, but I took on the program 6 years ago, and, I could tell during the beginning years, it's like, our goal was to qualify for state. If we qualified for state, we were like, woo, we're doing good, it's like, but now it's like the transition is, now not only do we want to qualify for state, but now we want to win district. And now we want to be in that top 5 at state. I think we've transitioned easily, or not easily, but through the hard work these guys have done. But we're there every year consistently. And so, our expectations are the same. We want to be district champions. We want to win our home meets. The girls, we've been doing this for 6 years, still haven't won their home meet, and it's kind of like, it's our turn. We got to do it. That's our goal this year. If we can start out with a full team, winning the home meet, I think that'll just set the tone. And both boys and girls have that opportunity. The boys would like to repeat at our home meet too. And so, it's something I haven't really talked about the athletes, but I'll do about now is like, I want you guys this year to kind of focus on beating the course. Beating the people is nice, but like knowing that when you finish that race, like I ran that race so well, so smart. I took all the good lines. I surged when I was supposed to surge, knowing the parts of our home course, like, I know it's slight downhill, I can open it up there. And so, like, when we're out on the courses, I want you guys, while we're warming up, to think about, like, all the little parts that I can run well that are going to add up to a good race. And I think if we can do that, start beating the course, I think we'll beat the people. I'm not too worried about that because the work is there. So that's something that we're going to talk about a little bit coming on. But, top 5 at state, if we can trophy, that would be outstanding. But I think that expectation's there year in and year out now.
All right. It is Thursday the 6th. It should be noted it's a Thursday afternoon meet, which is a little bit different. It's been Friday afternoon or Saturday morning.
And I'll talk a little about the reason for the change. Not having a athletic trainer out there when you have 250, 300 athletes, and kids who are giving it all in, 95-degree weather. And so having somebody out down there on the finish and a team of people in place to really support all the athletes from all the schools was the main focus. And then the next day, on the Friday, 6 o'clock, we're going to do our black and gold 5K. So instead of that being on Saturday, that moved up today. So that's also out there. So I'll make sure to send you that stuff so you can post it on the Facebook page. So all
right. And, of course, you can like the Alamogordo Cross Country Facebook page.
Absolutely.
That information's there as well. Hey, good luck this season, guys. Really appreciate you spending some time this afternoon. Good luck this year, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. And that was Alamogordo Cross Country. Appreciate their time yesterday and look forward to seeing them out there. The home event is on the 6th. That's probably going to be their only home event this year, September 6th. So check that out. If you get the chance, it'll be over there at the Griggs Sports Complex. All right, let's fit in our first commercial break. Come back. We'll talk some high school football as we get ready for the first games of the season. Actually, today, I believe, we have our first games of the season, so up in the metro area. But we'll take a break, come back, be back after this. Is your back-to-school list getting a little longer than you expected? OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card eases the unexpected. OFCU's Visa Platinum Credit Card gives you an interest-free grace period of at least 25 days on new retail purchases when the balance is paid in full each month. No fees for cash advances at OFCU's ATMs and branches. Back to school with OFCU is as easy as ABC. All loans subject to credit approval. Other restrictions may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. OFCU, 3 branches in Otero County. Call 434-8500.
If your tires hold more excuses than air, that's a big oh no. If bad alignment has your car swerving to the left like the world's slowest U-turn, that's also a big oh no. If you get a flat at night in any town ending in Vania, that's a very big oh no. And how most scary movies start. Maybe stay in your car. Thankfully, for all your car's big O no's, there's always a big O yes. Now through August 25th, save $100 instantly on sets of 4 Big O brand tires with paid installation. Plus, get up to a $50 mail-in rebate on purchases of $500 or more when using your Big O credit card. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Valid at participating locations on in-stock sets of 4 Big O brand tires. Up to 10% shop fee based on non-discounted retail price not to exceed $35. Disposal fees extra where permitted. Not valid with other offers. See store for pricing. Mail-in rebate subject to credit approval. Not valid with other credit rebate offers. See rebate form for terms and conditions.
Tularosa Basin Telephone Company is famous for keeping you connected. They promise to deliver fast speeds, provide a reliable network, and do it all with a smile. Their customer service team is on top of every call with the answers you need. In fact, they believe their customers are the most important part of their business. Give Tularosa Basin Telephone Company a call at 585-2700 for the internet experience you've been waiting for.
Score big with great savings at Justin's Motor Company. Hustle on down to one of Justin's 2 locations. Cars, trucks, SUVs, Jeeps, you name it, Justin's has it. Makes and models to fit any budget and the best customer service in town. One-stop online shopping makes your next car buying experience a breeze. Check out the full inventory, meet the staff, even apply online. All at justinsmotorcompany.com. 2 locations conveniently located on the Holloman Highway or 489-5820, Justin's Motor Company.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back into the program. Charles here with you. 437-1230 if you'd like to call in. We do have our first bit of high school football action today. What are the 2 metro area games? Cibola and Sandia, and Rio Grande taking on Highland. You do have Clayton taking on somebody's JV and Eunice taking on somebody's JV. I'd have to go look at their particular schedules, but if I were guessing Eunice, it's probably either Hobbs or Lovington's JV. And for Clayton, boy, I'm not sure. That might be even a Texas school or something, possibly that far up that north. So most of the games tomorrow. We do have a number of games on Saturday, but the ones that we're paying attention to, we got a couple on Friday, got a couple on Saturday. Of course, Alamogordo taking on Valencia. These are 2 teams that, at least right now, probably looked at towards the bottom of Class 5A. But you don't know. I think, second year for Coach Cisco, first year for Coach Shank. Coach Cisco talked about, Coach Shank last year was at Moriah, and last 2 years, Moriah's been pretty good. I mean, I don't think they were ever a legit state title contender, but they were good. And they won playoff games and were regularly competing in a good district that had, Farmington and a few other teams that usually were solid. So, he obviously brings along some winning credibility. I mean, to be fair, Colin Justice was coming off a state championship with Clayton, and by the way, Clayton's probably taking on Clovis's JV. Now that I think about that, I get Clayton and Tucumcari confused. No, okay, Clayton is the one in the far north. Tucumcari. Why do I get those 2 cities confused so easily? They're just up there. That's all. That's all I think about. Anyway, Valencia did have a coach that had come off a state championship pretty recently coming in. So, that doesn't necessarily equate to anything. It's first game. They're probably going through a lot of the same things that Alamogordo did last year. Probably not the same, though. I think Valencia has a decent amount of returners coming into this year. Andres Lucero is going to be their starting quarterback. They run a spread. It's probably going to depend a lot on how Lucero plays in that game tomorrow, and be curious to see what this game looks like. I would love to sit here and feel like I could give you a really good idea of what I expect from Alamogordo football this year. I'll sit here and say they're going to be better. I feel like I can guarantee that. From that point on, I don't know. I see some games. I know that Everybody was pretty happy with the way the team looked at the scrimmage. You had a lot of folks that went out and watched them and were impressed. Thought they, the big thing that a lot of people said, and Coach Cisco mentioned it yesterday, is that they belonged, and that certainly says a lot for a team that last year, and trust me, I saw 9 of the 10 games last year. There were probably about half that it looked like a JV team playing a varsity, which is what it was. Most of those kids should have been playing JV probably last year, and the way the ball bounced for last year for the Tigers, that they just didn't have the juniors and seniors, so it was the sophomores. That was, just flat out the reality for Tiger football last year. So this year it's more juniors, it's more seniors, and at least some experience going into the year. And it's time to stop looking back at last year. Let's see what happens, this season. I am very curious to watch tomorrow night's game, because I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh yeah, Alamogordo is going to go up there and get a win. I don't know. My gut feeling is I think that they're going to win tomorrow's game, but that's about all it is. I think they've got some games on their schedule that are going to be a lot tougher than this one. I think next week against Los Lunas is going to be exceptionally tough for Alamogordo. And, of course, you got Artesia down the road when District gets going. Same with Roswell High. I think Ruidoso is going to be a tough game. I know I've run into a couple of people that have kind of, we're playing Ruidoso. Ruidoso's pretty good. And I know I think you look at the size of the community, and that's the first thing that people go to. Ruidoso, compared to Alamogordo, doesn't feel like quite the same thing, but Ruidoso football has been pretty darn good the last few years. And maybe I'll be proven wrong on that from a standpoint of that Alamogordo will go up there and dominate, and maybe that's not something that should be on Alamogordo's schedule. But I think from my standpoint right now, I think it's going to be an interesting game. Santa Teresa is good again this year. That's going to be. I've seen a couple of previews that people have mentioned Santa Teresa certainly as a playoff team. Certainly not a state title contender, where I think Los Lunas will probably be that. Roswell and Artesia will probably be in that talk as well. So, I'm curious to see what Lovington looks like, and I think not having to play a full 5A schedule will be a big deal for them. I think that's going to be a tough game for the Tigers too, even though it's playing down the Class 4A situation. I don't think Lovington is that much of a drop there. So curious to see where Chaparral is this year. They were clearly, probably had their best team they've ever had, or one of the best teams they've ever had last year, and they certainly took it to the Tigers down there. And we'll see where Deming's at. That's that Deming game is always a bit of a rivalry game there. So, and the Tigers have to go to Santa Teresa and to Deming this year. So looking at Class 5A, and you can go and find some rankings here and there of where everybody thinks they are. The Max Preps rankings are, I feel like, more based on what happened last year than this year. If you look at Max Preps, Artesia, it's Artesia and everybody else in Class 5A, which it may be. I think Los Lunas will be good. Belen returns a lot from last year. I would think Piedra Vista, who's coming back down a classification in football, they were playing at 6A the last 2 seasons. Now they're playing in Class 5A. You would expect them to be in the running. Mentioned Roswell. I think Farmington's usually there. And then after that, it's probably a bit of a toss-up. I think those teams you could look at, those 6 teams, and feel, maybe throw Goddard into there, but Goddard's been a bit of a grab bag the last couple of years, just based on, they've been the second best team in that city the last couple of years, it felt like. I want to say Roswell High has beaten them the last 2 seasons, but let me double check that and make sure I'm not misspeaking here, because that certainly could be me just sort of spouting off from what I think I remember last year. Ross 33-21. That was a pretty close game last year. But for so long, for a long time, Roswell High was not very good in football, and that thing has turned around immensely. Lost to Roswell 2. So I last 2 years, I was right on that. But 6-5 2 years ago for the Rockets. 4-7 last year. They were a playoff team at 4-7 last season. And I will say this: Alamogordo's, I think, in the toughest district in the classification. I think overall, and maybe a district that's good enough that all 4 teams get in. That may be pushing it, but that's so far down the line. And I think, to be fair, to be thinking about playoffs yet would be there's no advantage to it if you're a Tiger player, you're a coach, you're a fan. Let's just see what they got this year and see if there's a marked improvement from last year. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to show up in wins, but I think there's a good chance it can. They've got some talent. We saw it at times last year. Just got to take another step this season. And I will say, schedule's easier from last year. You're not playing an Albuquerque team. You're not playing St. Pius. So you are playing Lovington, which I think that's probably a sideways step from the Albuquerque team that you would have gotten. I mean, they probably would have gotten Valley or Highland. Highland probably would have been an easier matchup than, say, Lovington. Ruidoso, again, you can look at the classification and say it's certainly not a step up from either the St. Pius or the Albuquerque game the Tigers have played the last few years. So we'll see. I think, again, improvement. I think it would be so crucial for Alamogordo to get a win tomorrow night. Be a big deal for that group. Tularosa, Class 3A, which is a different Class 3A. That's where they've played the last couple of years, but you look at the teams that are going to be towards the top, and they were more regularly Class 4A programs in recent years. So you're talking teams like St. Mike's and Robertson and Hatch and West Las Vegas and Hope Christian. And then you get to some more teams that you've seen in what was Class 3A, so Thule, Dexter. I want to say Santa Rosa in that group? No, it doesn't look like they are. Santa Rosa's down one. They're in Class 2A. So, Thule, again, from the rankings that I've kind of gone through, people that maybe at least follow the schools around the state a little bit more, probably middle of the pack. Been a lot of talk about Zuni, a couple of different places I saw, but St. Mike's, West Las Vegas, Hatch, Robertson, Hope Christian, and I think that's probably what you'd expect, considering a lot of those teams, Robertson especially, in what was Class 4A, or when they were in Class 4A, they were up towards the top of it. So they're going up against some bigger schools now than what they had been previously to Tularosa football. So from a classification standpoint, it's going to be different for the Wildcats this year. And we'll see what kind of an impact it has. The district will be slightly different. Having to go up against Nimi, I think is a bit of a different look. But Dexter's been in Thule's district the last few years. And then there's going to be a game against Tucumcari, which I'm trying to remember if Tularosa has to make the trip to Tucumcari to play the Rattlers this year. I mean, this is all stuff for closer to the end of the year. We're talking district. But now they actually get Tucumcari at home. So that'll be a nice advantage for them. They only play – wait. No, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong schedule. Don't pay attention to me. They do have to go to Tucumcari. So that's going to be a challenge for them. They do get 2 home games in district, though. They play Nimi and Dexter at home. So, at least the 2 other road trips they have to make them, and Nimi and Dexter aren't that bad. But Tucumcari definitely is. You kind of feel bad for Tucumcari. They've got to – anytime they've got to go on the road in that district, that is quite the hike down the hill for them. So it's going to be, I think, a challenge for that group. But, I think – Thule certainly has stabilized the the last couple of years. They had some really tough seasons there for a couple of years, and it seems like Coach Grace has really done a fine job out there, and we'll get a chance to chat with him here in a few weeks probably. But 8-4 last year. Got to feel like there's some momentum heading into where they're a playoff team last season, and I'm trying to think they won a playoff game last year. Yeah, they beat Tucumcari last year before they lost to Santa Rosa. Kind of interesting that Santa Rosa is in the lower classification, but all about school population, so clearly Tularosa a little bit higher on the list there. Pardon me. And anyway, I think, again, Thule, no reason to think that it shouldn't be a similar type of season, that they can be a postseason team, maybe even be a home playoff game in that first round. That I got to think that's a very legitimate goal for Tularosa this year, is to host a playoff game. After that, we'll see. But yeah, from 2-9 2 years ago to and they were a playoff team a couple years ago, but 2-9 that year to turn around to an 8-4 season. Obviously, things pointing in the right direction there. The biggest question marks are obviously what to expect out of Cloudcroft and Mescalero as they return to 11-man football in Class 2A. And I sat here and said I have no idea, what to expect from Alamogordo in Week 1. I think the same goes for Cloudcroft and Mescalero. We'll see. I think Mescalero has a pretty winnable game coming up this weekend. Cloudcroft against McCurdy certainly seems that could be as well. And listen, they're not alone in teams that are making the jump up. And I'm trying to, because last year Class 2A had 4 teams last year. Let me see if they'll let me look at the rankings from last year. It doesn't look like they will. But last season, oh wait, there it is. Okay, now it wants to let me. So 2A last year consisted of Fort Sumner, Escalante, Jow, Lordsburg, Hagerman, Mission Achievement and Success, which is an Albuquerque Academy, and Cuesta. And I think Mission Achievement, looks like they only played 2 games last year, so they're just getting their football program off the ground there. So those teams move up, and so you also have teams like Cloudcroft and Mescalero that are moving up, while you have teams that are moving down. Eunice, Santa Rosa, Estancia, Capitan, who are all playing at the same level Tularosa was last year. So, I mean, there's some mix and matches in all of this that I think it's great that you have a Class 2A that has 19 teams now. It's good. It makes it at least a little more interesting instead of just having a 7-man classification in your bottom classification. So that's a positive. Hagerman, I think, is a team that was they were in the same class last year. So I'm trying to figure out which teams were 11-man last year that moved up this year. There's a lot of these that I think were 3A last year and are moving down to 2A. I'll have to try and pick through those and figure out which ones were 8-man last year and are switching to 11-man. It might just be Cloudcroft and Mescalero. I thought there were a couple others that are doing that. So it's going to be a challenge for them, but if you got the numbers, it's definitely a different game between playing 8-man and 11-man football. But I think they've got a lot of other teams that they'll be able to be competitive with. And I still say, from a standpoint of the size of the community and the size of the schools, I think Mescalero and Cloudcroft are 8-man communities, but obviously the numbers said otherwise. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a challenge for them, and I just think it's tough that if you put them in this spot, I think staying healthy is maybe one of the biggest keys and I'm sure there are other teams that have similar roster numbers when you look across. But, I mean, you've got Eunice, who has 41. I think Cloudcroft, when I talked to Coach, they had 20. Mescalero has, they got 38. Again, this is the Max Preps, what they list as their roster, so sometimes that can be a little misleading there. But, Fort Sumner lists 19. They won the state title in Class 2A last year. So, if you've got 11 really good kids, I mean, they're never going to get off the field, but there's also something fun about that, too, the Iron Man aspect of small school football. And that's not too unusual. I think you get to Tularosa in Class 3A, most of the best kids are playing both ways. Listen, Alamogordo, I think most of the best kids are going to be playing both ways. 6A, probably a little bit less of that, but there's still probably 3 or 4 that you see on both offense and defense throughout the entire game. So it's probably not that unusual. I think the problem is if you lose that person, or if you decide, listen, we need to rest them and put somebody else in, the margin for error there is so much more difficult, when you're playing an 8-man game to an 11-man game. So we'll see what happens for Cloudcroft. I hope they have a great season. The same goes for Mescalero. That's a good transition back to 11-man, and that's something that they can continue to keep going and keep building and keep it at that level. I think that's, it's a good thing if they can stay at that spot. But, bottom line for all of our area teams, I think Tularosa is probably best suited or best positioned to have, a playoff run this year. I think everybody else, we'll see. I think Alamogordo will have an outside chance at making the playoffs this year, if they play well. And, they can, beat a Goddard or a Roswell in district. That may be what it comes down to, is winning one of their games in district. It may put them in the postseason. And Cloudcroft and Mescalero, listen, I mean, there's only, 19 teams in the classification? I mean, only 7 are going to get left out at the end of the day. So my mind's, it's the same with Class 5A. I think there's 19 teams. You got a shot at it. It's still 12-man playoffs this year. So there's definitely an opportunity to be a postseason team, I believe, for everybody across the area. It's going to be tougher for some rather than others. So, and I'm probably being overly optimistic as a hometown guy, but they haven't played a game yet. Let's not get too high or too low about anything, right? Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More of the roundup after this here on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for mostly cloudy with a 30% chance of rain in Alamogordo, low of 68 for Cloudcroft, low of 54. Tomorrow we're looking at mostly sunny, becoming partly cloudy tomorrow night, 30% chance of rain. In Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 91, low of 69. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 76, overnight low near 54 degrees.
What makes Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai unique? At Vision Ford, we're all about you. Your vision, your style, your needs, and your story. Vision is fully stocked with dozens of the hottest 2018 models, including the Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling truck for 40 years. With financing options that fit every budget and a sales team dedicated to you, Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai continues the Yes We Can tradition. All we need is you. Visit us today at 1500 South White Sands Boulevard or 24/7 online at visionfordlincoln.com.
Lose weight, be happier, get smarter, improve your memory, all by doing one thing. Sleep well. Tax time in 2018 is your chance to catch up on great sleep. Use your hard-earned tax refund to buy yourself the one thing that can make the biggest difference in your health, a new mattress to get better sleep. Sleep Well is here to help you find the right mattress for your needs. Back problems? Too heavy snoring? Sleep Well can help you. Sleep hot? Your partner toss and turn? No problem. Sleep Well can help. Corner of First and White Sands. Sleep Well. When you sleep well, you live well.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back to the Roundup. So we've got high school sports action tonight. I mentioned it right at the top of the show. Alamogordo boys soccer hosting Los Lunas tonight. 6 p.m. out at Reiner Steinhoff Soccerplex. The JV starts at 4 o'clock this evening. Looks like we got some nice weather. I'm sure I just jinxed it, but Alamogordo volleyball starts at 4:30 with their 9th grades, followed by JV. They're scrimmaging Ruidoso, and varsity will be a regular game this evening against Ruidoso. I know I've probably said that so many times to you guys, but just worth mentioning that those other two are scrimmages and that the varsity is a game that will count. Also a game that will count, Tularosa volleyball goes to Hatch tonight, 6:30, and 5:30 tonight it's Mescalero as they face off against Gateway Christian and begin their season. So volleyball starting there. I think Cloudcroft volleyball starts next Thursday against Cloudcroft. So we've got most of them starting tonight. As for coming up this weekend, we're going to be live from Los Lunas, sort of Los Sorry, I make fun of it because Valencia just seems so far out there in the middle of nowhere, the actual high school. If you've never been there, there were plans and they didn't go the way that they wanted them to, where the city was going to grow. But it is in Los Lunas, Valencia High School. We'll be live starting at 6:45, 7 o'clock kickoff as Alamogordo takes on the Jaguars. Looking forward to that tomorrow. You can listen to it live on our YouTube channel, which is live right now. We're going to be live with that every day from 2 to 3. So make sure if you can't tune in on the radio, 103.7 FM, you can always get us on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. Lots of easy ways to make that happen. We've got internet access. Good to go. And Saturday, or the other football games across the area. Tomorrow, Tularosa hosting Hot Springs. Saturday, it's Cloudcroft facing off against McCurdy. And that's at Cloudcroft on Saturday. No, that's at McCurdy on Saturday afternoon. Cloudcroft gets their first home game next Friday night. And then Mescalero's at home as they take on Mission Achievement and Success. They are out of the Albuquerque area. But program that's just getting started on their end, and could be a real good chance, I think, Mescalero to get a win. I'm curious to see what Cloudcroft does, and kind of across the board. I know I said I was going to sit here and kind of preview. We talked with Mark Rudy earlier on the week previewing Class 6A, and he felt like Cleveland, Manzano, Las Cruces High, Rio Rancho he threw in there. Some of the other previews I've read, a lot of people are really high on La Cueva. He was kind of in the middle of that. So here's the deal. A lot of people will look at, they have all these returners. Okay, but are those their best players from last year? And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have a really good key on La Cueva. So, I mean, I think there's a couple of different opinions on La Cueva this year. And I think, other teams I would never count out Clovis. Centennial seems like they should be pretty good. El Dorado football is always solid. They were such an enigma last year. In some of the games they won and some of the games they lost. And there may be some surprises that we'll have to wait and see throughout the year. And a team that I don't think many people are talking about in Class 5A is Mayfield. And it feels so weird. I feel like I kind of previewed 5A a little while ago. Artesia, you got to feel like is the favorite, but Los Lunas is going to be really good. Belen's going to be really good. I think Roswell High is going to be very good. I think the two Farmington schools are going to be tough. I'm curious to see what Alamogordo's old district does this year in Deming and Santa Teresa. I think those two teams might be solid this year, And again, I feel like after the two Farmington schools, Roswell, Artesia, Los Lunas, Belen, maybe Goddard, kind of a bit of a toss-up there maybe. So who knows? And I think we talked 3A and everything. We were talking about Tularosa, same with Class 2A. But I think what could be an interesting season. I like the new classifications. I feel like it's a little bit more balanced, and I think you're going to get some new matchups in some places, and it'll be fun. So excited to get it going. We'll talk more about it on the KNMZ Football Roundtable tomorrow. The crew back again. Manny Gonzalez, Donna Columbus won't be with us to start the show. Brian Smicet. Hopefully I have that right. I asked somebody how to pronounce it this morning. I think I may have mispronounced it there. But Brandon Burling, Desert Sun Motors, and Tim Brock from Christ Community Church. And we got a new man this year, Jake Roberts from Caldwell Banker, Sutters Nelson. So tune in tomorrow morning. We'll be live here at 11 a.m. on ESPN Alamogordo. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it is every year. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great one.
You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7, Southern New Mexico's sports leader, KNMZ Alamogordo.
I'm Doug Brown. Ohio State coach Urban Meyer is now under a 3-game suspension without pay for the way he mishandled the allegations of domestic assault against former assistant Zach Smith. ESPN's Dan Murphy says Meyer had multiple opportunities to question Smith's behavior.
Lewd photos at a White House. There was a stay in rehab. There was bad job performance. He went to a strip club with a high school football coach while he was on a recruiting trip. All of those things are something that might get a guy fired.
Dan Murphy on Golick and Wingo. Meyer will miss games against Oregon State, Rutgers, and TCU. Athletic director Gene Smith has also been suspended for 17 days starting August 31st. Former Michigan State gymnastics coach Kathy Klages is charged with 2 counts of lying to officers. Klages was told by her athletes for more than 20 years about being sexually abused by Dr. Larry Nassar.